Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
Hi again, curling fans, and Happy New Year to you, Colleen. Great.
Happy New Year to you, although it feels exactly like last year.
A little bit of deja
We're back
vu.
in our homes. Your plants have grown a whole year's worth, though, so something.
Should we start the show with a live plant update?
Why not? Why not? We're going nowhere, so.
Well, you know what? I actually don't think I had this plant the last time we went to air from my house.
What is it?
I have no idea.
It's a green thing. It's
But
doing.
look at it.
I know, it's lush. It's green. You know what? Plants in the wintertime. You just need them, don't you? To remember that life is going to come back. Hi from super cold Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Chris Curtis is with us. Anyhow, it is nice to be back. And we thought we were supposed to be in Portage la Prairie, you and I, covering Olympic mixed trials doubles. And of course, we know that was canceled. And now, don't you feel like it's a little bit of limbo in regards to what team is going to go, Dev?
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about, obviously, and we're going to get into it. And we have the people closest and most affected by all of this, Colleen. But like you said, we would have been 3 days removed from knowing who Canada's mixed doubles Olympic representatives would be. We're less than a month away from that first game, Canada versus Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
That's who Canada is going to start against, Call. And we don't have a team.
No, we don't. And it's almost sad. I mean, I feel for every one of those teams that was going through their Christmas break thinking, stay ready, stay focused, Olympic trials, we can do it. Because really, it was a wide open event.
Right.
There were probably 10 solid teams in it that can and could have won it. So our hearts go out to all of those people who are sort of denied that. And now, however they're going to choose which team goes, not a lot of clarity on it. It could be just a dart on the board or who knows?
Wheel of Fortune. We should point out for transparency that we did invite someone from Curling Canada to be on the show to shed light, Colleen, on the process, the criteria. They declined coming on the show, saying it's a sensitive topic, no doubt. But you have Curling Canada, you have Own the Podium, and you have the Canadian Olympic Committee all involved in this process. And the latest information I'm getting, Colleen, is that they are still in the consultation process. I'm thinking we're not going to get a team selection this week.
TikTok, the clock is ticking, and producer Soph just shared with us a tweet from Thomas Bach from the IOC saying, the Beijing playbook begins now. In other words, we all, even you and I, have to start watching what we do, because if you catch COVID between now and departure time, you ain't going anywhere.
You ain't going anywhere. Did you?
I love it. Oh, I have bunny. What are they called in? Bunny
hug. This is bunny a bunny hug. Yes, look, it's a buddy. That curling show bunny hug and that curling show mugs, Colleen.
I love it. I'm still with my old CBC mug. But listen, I feel like we made it.
Well, but
we have a shirt now.
This is the big news. You see on the bottom of the screen here, you very soon, curling fans, will be able to purchase toques, scarves, shirts. We're showing it off. We want some feedback. And the mugs. Is there a better way to start your day?
I love it. I love it. Anyhow, this is almost our 1 year anniversary of the show. So we're so excited. And what we're super excited about is the involvement, not just in curling fans across the country, but most importantly, there wouldn't be a show without the curlers taking part. And we're starting right off the bat with a good one.
Defending national champion in the women's event and in the mixed doubles event. Kerri Einarson joins us from Gimli, Manitoba. What's in the water in Gimli? Kerri, great to see you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm trying to stay warm. It's like minus 39 here.
Oh man, I don't even know how you. Hope your what did you win? You won one of those trucks, didn't you?
No,
I'm dreaming.
I had to buy one.
I won one. I thought you won one too. I thought Kerri and I had
that would have been nice.
And yeah, I hope they have the butt warmers in there. Kerri's got her Wednesday night beer league game to get to. So we don't want to keep you forever. She might be a double Canadian champ and won everything last year, but she still knows how to have fun. Kerri, tell me what your mindset is, because if you're chosen, you and your new partner, Brad Jacobs, swapped one Brad for another, then that would mean you can't go to the Scotties. Where's your head at for this?
Yeah, it's kind of a bit all over the place because I don't know where Curling Canada stands with their decision. So, and I haven't heard a single thing. So I'm just going about my day and planning to play in the Scotties until I hear different. And that's pretty special too and exciting.
Kerri, this has been such a charged conversation. I don't know how much you've been seeing of it on social media, but everybody has their idea of the criteria of how this should go, from the point system to you being the defending champ to and on and on and on. Is there a fair way? What's your assessment of how this should be decided?
It's a tough subject, that's for sure. Somewhat teams are going to be hurt either way. So I'm definitely glad I'm not making that decision. And yeah, there'll be lots of different feedback from a whole bunch of players, I'm sure. And everyone thinks that they want to go. So of course I do. Who wouldn't want to go to the Olympics? But yeah, it's going to be a tough decision. And I know Curling Canada is going to make the right one. And whoever goes is going to represent Canada amazing.
Wow, that's such a nice comment, because I know you'd love to be the team. And if it's not you, that's big of you to say that you're behind whatever team is chosen. But how do you think they're making this decision? If you were in that room, what would you be looking for? Would you be looking at the people who have been to an Olympic mixed doubles like Johnny Moe? Would you be looking at, even Peterman and Gallant, or are you strictly looking at you? What do you think the criteria is?
Me. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'd be looking at definitely experience when it comes to that high level as well. There's a lot of teams in this, though, that play strictly just mixed doubles. And I know from playing at the Worlds, a lot of those teams there just play mixed doubles.
Right.
So there were so many teams that Brad and I hadn't heard of, and we're like, holy man, these teams are unreal. And they gave us a game, and you just so it's such a difficult decision. And I know, like with, say, Peterman and Gallant, since they're already there, but what if something happens to them? What if they end up getting COVID during that and not being able to play in their fours? So that's a tough decision as well. They've played at a national together before and done amazing. So they would be great representatives as well. And then you look at the CTRS standings, those teams that put in all that time to play mixed doubles. And for me, I unfortunately don't have that time to play both. Right. It's tough. And with family back home and then having to travel that extra time, it's difficult for me to do that. And so I know those teams that put in that time and effort also deserve to go. So it's so hard choice. And as myself being the Canadian defending champ, it's and I know people
for you.
And people might just look, oh, well, she's only played 2 events, but
hey,
I did really well in both of them. And so it's a toss-up, and it's a difficult decision.
Wow, you really summed it up very, very well there. I mean, and especially over the points, because a lot of people think, well, just look at the points, but there are players like you who couldn't possibly afford that kind of time. You'd be curled out. I mean, you do have your Wednesday night beer league obligation. So
yeah, you can't forget that.
Tell me how you felt when you got the news that it was canceled. I mean, how far did your heart sink?
It was tough because I canceled a lot of my family plans as well, because I had heard with COVID and everything was ramping up. And I was like, you know what? I can't afford to get this at the moment. So I'm like, you know what, you guys, like, sorry to my family. I'm not going to be able to attend. And I did all the things that you needed to do and stayed healthy and safe. And a whole bunch of others did too. And some ended up getting it. And that's just how it is. It's crazy. And then I got the news on Christmas Day, and it really put a damper in Christmas. I tried my best to put on a happy face for my girls, and they just looked at me, Mom, are you sad? And I said, I'm very sad. And they were sad that they couldn't come to Portage to go on the water slides. So
Wow.
but I was like, you know what? I get to spend New Year's with my family. Just put it in perspective, and Curling Canada made the right choice, and just everyone needs to stay healthy and safe at this point.
What about the right choice when it comes to the Scotties now? Because we're seeing so many things canceled, like the Continental Cup, which was just before the Scotties, has been canceled. The under-18s is postponed. They've even canceled the Grammys. But is there a way to delay the Scotties even? Does any of that make sense given the climate of, we weren't able to do an Olympic mixed doubles trials? What changes between now and Thunder Bay?
I have absolutely no clue on that either. For right now, I think it's a go. So the Alberta playdowns are on. I've been watching, and and you see all these other playdowns happening, and so it's just so hard to plan anything. I definitely know what it's like to plan, and then it's canceled. Well, here we go again.
Yeah. Kerri, you have to get to that beer league because that's important practice for you, but that's actually where I want to leave it. What have you and Brad talked about in terms of a plan? Because should you be the team selected to go to the Olympics, are you even going to get a chance to be together before that first game, presumably at the Olympics? What sort of planning have you been able to do?
Haven't been able to do much planning. We keep in touch, Brad and I, and he was so excited to have the opportunity to play mixed doubles, and he's messaging me and asking for strategy and tips, and he's watching back my mixed doubles games, and he was super excited, and so was I, and so hopefully maybe we'll get the opportunity, but if not, perhaps maybe down the road we will.
Difficult times, no doubt, Kerri, and you've been on this show a lot through it all, and we are so grateful for whenever you come on this show to share your perspective, a very measured perspective in what is no doubt a challenging time for a lot of people. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Devin and Colleen.
Nice to see you, Kerri.
Take care.
Now go win your game.
Thanks.
Boy, Call, when you hear that and you hear that these curlers are kind of in the dark with the process and
Right.
having to go out and Johnny Moe the other day texted me and said, I'm in the mindset and preparing as if I'm going to the Olympics. That's how I'm training right now. And I guess every curler would have to take on that mindset.
Yeah, every curler would have to take on the mindset, but the limbo and the waiting, I think the decision needs to come soon, not next week, because people are out there living their lives. And as soon as there's a risk of any chance of getting COVID, even when people are taking all the precautions and have their boosters and are wearing their masks, it seems like Omicron is such a new beast, so highly transmissible that you can be doing all the best practices and still get it. And that's obviously what even caused the Olympic trials to be sidelined.
Call, we're, as always, getting a lot of comments from people from around the world. Do you and I have a chance?
Oh, well, we're practicing for 2026.
Right.
We're in training for that. But didn't Kerri bring up a point about the teams from Europe that embrace mixed doubles and that's all they play? And I really think Canada's got to make a move to that. I know all our great players play the 4-game team, but yet there are enough talented players in this country that could embrace and just focus on this. I mean, Colton Lott's a really good example, and his partner.
Wow.
They do so well.
Not only that, I think that's a perfect segue to our next guest. The Tucks, Kim and Wayne Tuck, who of course have been great ambassadors of the sport of mixed doubles. Hello to both of you. It's wonderful to see both of you. Before we get started, how are you? Wayne, I know you posted about testing positive for COVID ahead of the trials event. How are you feeling? And Kim, how are you feeling?
Feeling okay. Obviously, getting vaccinated helps. My symptoms lasted really only 2 days, and they weren't severe or anything like that. Nothing that Advil, cold and sinus wouldn't cure. But yeah, no, I'm feeling fine now.
Good. And you, Kim?
Good, actually. We banished him to the basement for the first few days, hoping that we'd be able to scathe the rest of the family from it. But unfortunately, I think he had come in contact with it before we even had any idea that was an issue. And so the rest of us did end up going through it as well. And I think Taylor had the least of the symptoms of everybody, but everybody's kind of on the mend. And I think it was New Year's Eve was the first night that we had all been together as a family in like a week and a half.
So, a COVID Christmas fun time. So how, I mean, I know you two are dedicated mixed doubles, and you run that incredible event there at your home club and do such a great job doing so much work for mixed doubles too. But when you had to pull out, how devastating was that for you, Wayne?
Well, it's funny because, you know, I was at home doing rapid tests, and my gag reflex is not very good. So on the rapid test, you get option A, which is just inside the nostril, or option B, which is all the way down. And I'm like, I'm never doing B. So I kept on doing option A, and it was negative. And then I decided, you know what, I'll try, you know, the option B. And I did. And in 5 minutes it came up and it was positive. And it's like when you jump into a cold, do a polar dip and come up and you lose your breath. I'm just like, you know, 4 years down the drain, I'm feeling awful. And then I realized that, you know, it's not just me, it's also Kim. I feel bad for her and all the hard work that she put in that we can't go. And then we had planned a trip to Winnipeg for Christmas to see my parents, my brother. And then all of a sudden that's a no-go. So it was just kept on piling on and piling on and piling on.
And Kim?
Yeah, it was hard. It's a bit emotional still because it was 8 years actually for us. So it's a lot of work, a lot of time from work, time from family. You know, we don't have the luxury of putting 40 hours into the curling. We have jobs and families. And so, you know, we practice as much as we can, things like that. But yeah, it was hard. We're not young. So this is probably our last Olympic cycle. So, you know, that kind of made it a little bit harder to swallow. But yeah, it was tough. I felt for him because, you know, we did all the right things too. We didn't go out partying. We went to work. We came home. We went to the curling club. We came home. You know, he had just gone to spare with a men's team that had lost their skip. And you know, that's where he had gotten it. So, you know, it sucked. And, you know, it is what it is. They did offer me, you know, a chance to find somebody else to go with him or like with me. But at that point in time, I figured if he's got it, I'm going to be testing positive in a couple of days anyway. But I don't know that it would have been easy for me to go and do it with somebody else. I joke all the time about, oh, I'm going to replace you, you know, but we've been doing this for so long together. You know, just it would have been hard to go and do it with them.
We've heard those conversations live during games before. Both of you.
Those mics.
Yes.
Those mics are always hot. You know, we've had a lot of exchanges, whether at events or over social media, about the state of mixed doubles, the direction of mixed doubles. And now we find ourselves in a position where a team is going to be handpicked. And I wonder where the two of you feel about this. 2014 national champions. You've been there before the bright lights of Curling Canada and owned the podium, and the Olympic glitz were on this sport. And I wonder what you're thinking about now about this process. And I'm hoping you'll speak from the heart because I know you guys care passionately.
Well, surprisingly, we both don't entirely agree on this subject as well. So I'll let
let's
you
hear
go
it.
first, and then I'll
Let's
fill
hear
in.
it.
Honestly, I don't envy Curling Canada one bit. But you know, if this was strictly a Curling Canada decision, you have to go by the point system that we've all put in place. Like, there's no other option. That's if you decide to go not through the point system and decide to go 2 or 3 teams below the top team that should be going, then there's really no point in having a point system, and basically, you know, the whole system crumbles. Bringing in COC and Own the Podium, honestly, I think it's a scapegoat for Curling Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Let them make the decision, and they don't have to look at points and what everybody's done before. Strictly get a gold medal, and honestly, they'll look at Johnny Moe and Rachel because they've been at the Olympics. Honestly, in my opinion, the 3 teams that should be considered, you know, are Ty and Nancy and Rachel and John. But my pick would be Peterman Gallant.
Mm-hmm.
They're number 1 in points. Yeah, they won the 4-person, but they're already, you know, quarantining. They're going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you say, what happens if something happens? Well, that's just bad luck. Right. I mean, the positives of playing mixed doubles before the 4-person, they know the rocks, they know the ice. They'll get a heads up on that, you know. But honestly, the best team, in my opinion, is Peterman Gallant. They've won the Canadians twice in the last 5 years. They've medaled at the Worlds. They've placed the best in the Worlds that Canada's done. Mm-hmm. I don't see any other option if we're handpicking.
Kim?
Well, I agree to the point that I think mixed doubles needs to start standing on its own legs. And I think that it's important for Curling Canada to start to try to build this program. They had talked about this the last Olympic cycle, and we are 8 years down the road, and we are no further ahead than we were the last cycle in terms of a program. You know, I'd love to see them build something that is strictly mixed doubles, high performance, with the coaches, with the stats, with all the things that you need to do to build mixed doubles teams. So we're not there yet. So I don't agree in the fact that Peterman and Gallant should go. Not that I don't think they're the best team, but I think they need to focus on the 4-person. And I think where Canada differs than some of the other countries that send both, like allow both players, is we have a huge wealth of teams. True. And they have a smaller pick. So they have their national teams that are comprised of 20 curlers, let's say. That's their 20 curler pool. Well, we don't have that. We have a huge pool that we can pick from. And so, you know, I don't think you need to pull a team from the 4-person already. I think Nancy and Ty deserve to go based on the fact that they're the highest ranked CMDR team, but I actually think that the pick will be Johnny Moe and Rachel, and I think that will go to what they think is important, and that's going to be Olympic experience.
And what are your chances?
Not so good.
Well, if we're going alphabetically, not very good. We're very low.
So we're not worried about getting picked. We weren't concerned. We figured if it does get to us, then there's something, a whole bunch going on before it actually gets to us. So to be perfectly honest, we weren't, you know, we would love to go. It's been my dream as a kid to go to the Olympics and you know, but I don't think we're on the sheet. I don't think the Tucks are a consideration at this point. I think it'll be John Morris and Rachel, and I think it'll be based on past Olympic experience and things like that.
You know, if this were an episode of CBC, The Debaters, which hopefully you've heard of, which is one of the best radio shows ever, I don't know which one of you I'd pick. You both make so many good points. But amen to your idea, Kim, about starting to put the money and infrastructure into mixed doubles the way Europeans are. I mean, we're so far behind. If it weren't for people like you and the Desjardins running your own spiels all the time, where is that infrastructure? And when you talk about training centers, they've got to start looking at regional training centers, not just one place in Calgary. And you know, it's hurting not just mixed doubles, it's hurting the game.
Yeah. I mean, we looked at going overseas to play in some of those tournaments that they play in over time, but the cost to go overseas and, you know, it's outrageous to try and do it. And, you know, I think there's a ton of players that are going to come up that, you know, aren't going to find a spot on 4-person teams, and they're still really good players, and there's a spot for them in mixed doubles. And I think mixed doubles needs to get to a point where we're specifically training mixed doubles players to be mixed doubles curlers. You know, we always hear the word specialists, not my favorite term, because I think that we don't know anything different than they know just because we play mixed doubles. So, you know, I don't think that's a fair term, but, you know, I don't think there's a reason you can't have both. And there's no reason those guys can't play either. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to play, but I definitely think that there needs to be a program that's specific to building mixed doubles players and not basically bringing, you know, the high performance people in from the 4-person and just having them play. You know, we're pretty decent curlers, we think. And, you know, we've been at this a long time, but we're not on the ice as much as those guys. And, you know, you line us up against those guys and probably, you know, 8 times out of 10, you know, they're going to beat us, and that's the way it's going to go. And it's just, you know, we just don't have the opportunity. If we were 20 years younger, we would have been all over this, but you know, we're trying to build it for the people coming up behind us. We're trying to get it for those guys that are coming up. You know, like Colton and Cadriana, like that's an amazing mixed doubles team.
They are an amazing mixed doubles team.
And you know, they should be considered as well.
They should, no doubt.
Beautiful thoughts from the both of you.
So glad you joined us.
You know, I don't know if you're seeing the comments, but I think you know, I think people know it, but for people hearing you speak for the first time on the show tonight, I think they're seeing the class and the grace that we've always known from the two of you. So you know, it was important to Colleen and I to have you on the show tonight because of this perspective. We're so grateful for it, and it's wonderful to see both of you
doing better too.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate being included. You know, we're pretty passionate about mixed doubles, so we're very thankful for you guys for including us tonight. And of course, we wish whoever wins.
Hope to come to Brantford again soon.
Yes.
On that end sheet again, okay? I don't want that end sheet.
No.
Thank you.
You guys.
I'm glad you're doing. I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better. A COVID Christmas and New Year's and the devastation of having what they have worked hard at to get to the Olympic trials. And they're being modest when they say, you know, that maybe they wouldn't have won it. They're a solid team, and mixed doubles is so different than 4-person curling.
That's it, Colleen. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to play, right? Because who knows what can happen. They talked a lot about the point standings. A lot of people have been talking about the point standings. Let's take a look at those point standings. Let's be frank, Curling Canada put a lot of weight on this, Colleen, to be able to get into the Olympic trials. We're showing you the top 25 mixed doubles teams in the country based on points. And you can see it all there on the board. If you eliminate Peterman and Gallant and Jones and Lang from the top of the board because of Curling Canada's rule about only being able to play one discipline, Colleen, Nancy Martin and Tyrel Griffith are that team in the wings, right?
And remember when we were in Fredericton and we watched them and they were just so amazing. They lost the final to Peterman and Gallant, but wow, steady. Because you know what? They're sort of mixed doubles specialists, aren't they?
Right. Absolutely. And that's going to lead us right into Tyrel Griffith joining us tonight. Important to have him here. Wonderful to see you, Ty. How are you doing amidst all of the unknowns?
Thanks first off for having me on the show there, you two. It's an honor to be here. And Nancy wishes she could be here as well, but she's getting ready to step on the ice in about 20 minutes here.
Right.
but yeah, life is good. It's a crazy world we live in these days, but life is good. I'm in good health and feeling great, and had a great Christmas, really. So it's good start to the year.
You had a good Christmas. What was your reaction when the mixed doubles was canceled?
Obviously, disappointment. We're competitors first and foremost. I think that's why I know that's why I curl. That's a big reason why I curl, is to compete at a high level. I love it. As do I think all the competitors, they would share that disappointment as well. We work hard to play in events. It's not just about winning, it's about the journey and the experience. So the Olympic trials was going to be a great experience for, I think, every player, regardless of how you would have done. So I think, not having that chance, obviously it's disappointing, but it is the situation that's been, that happened. So it is the world we live in these days. So unfortunate.
Tyrel, we just showed the points. It's very clear. You are that team in that position. And I'm sure you've been hearing from a lot of people. What is it like to be the team that based on points, presumably would be going to the Olympics? What do you say to that?
I mean, obviously it's there's a lot of emotion involved with thinking about those things. And really, we really don't have any control over it. Nancy and I really don't have any control. We've worked really hard to put ourselves in, the position that we are, I guess, in. And, obviously we didn't really see it playing out this way, obviously. But, it's nice to be considered, and in the discussion. And, we've had a great 3 or 4 years now together. And, we've worked hard and we've tried different things. And I'm learning from one of the best is having Nancy Martin as a partner. As mixed doubles is concerned, I feel like I'm still kind of almost like a rookie next to her. Is she's great at helping me out and learn. And we've had opportunities over these last 3 years to grow. Last year was a little tough because we really didn't get a chance to be on the ice as much together. But I like our history. In our events, we played really well, and I really liked our chances going into the trials. We were kind of coming in at a nice spot and feeling good about it. So, but yeah, it's an honor to obviously be at the top of the standings, and it's an interesting situation we find ourselves in now.
They're in a bit of between a rock and a hard place, really, trying to choose a team. I mean, unless the easiest thing for them to do probably would be to take Gallant and Peterman, but they've already themselves into the corner of saying, if you're in the 4-person game, so you can't play in mixed doubles. What do you think? Like, what kind of keeps you up at night, if anything, about what they're looking for, what they're thinking, if they're not going on the points?
Do you know what? I've been pretty lucky. My wife and I are expecting our first baby any day. So for us, I've actually had a pretty nice, my mind hasn't really been on it too much. I really, like I said, I don't really have much control over what's going to happen. And kind of echoing the other curlers, like, Kerri, I heard what she was saying. I haven't really heard anything at all from Curling Canada myself. So, and Nancy as well. I mean, we've just asked to be kept in the loop type thing. And I think that's all we can. As the Tuck said, I don't really envy the situation that, of making this decision. It's going to be disappointing. And I feel for all the players, obviously, it's going to be there's the highs and lows with it. And that's the thing I try to not think about is I'm either going to be extremely happy or I'm going to be, sad because, you don't really know how many opportunities you have at even playing in an Olympic trials or getting to the Olympics. It's been my life dream. Right. So, it's, I try not to think too much about it just because, again, I can't control it. And I think that's the biggest thing in the world today. You can't really control what's going to happen tomorrow.
Tyrel, is this not an opportunity, though, for Curling Canada, based on points, to say, this is a team that has invested in this sport, that has poured their hearts into this sport, are at the top of the rankings? I mean, what message is being sent here for the future of mixed doubles curling for people who are following in your path if they're going to disregard the points?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of echo the Tucks, their thoughts. I really would like to see, and obviously we're honored to be at the top, but I'd really like to see a mixed, whatever selection is made, it has a mixed doubles impact. I really think there's an opportunity in Canada for us to really grow the mixed doubles game. I'm fairly new to it. I've only been playing mixed doubles for about 4 years. This is kind of my first really full Olympic cycle. And I transitioned from my men's team into this because I saw a really good opportunity for me to still be very competitive. And, you don't need 4 players playing unbelievably at once. If you and your partner work hard, there's a great opportunity for so many teams to be competitive in mixed doubles. And for the future, I'd love to see, tons of growth in this area. And I think this decision, could weigh heavily on that. And, the teams that are supporting mixed doubles now too, I think are also going to be watching this decision. So, it's probably not like I said, it's not an easy decision to be made. That's for sure.
No, because it was sort of a wide open. A lot of people are thinking Johnny Moe and Rachel, and they are a phenomenal mixed doubles team. But yet, really, everybody, there were so many favorites going into this Olympics. You wouldn't want to put money on anybody because the field was great.
That's the thing with mixed doubles. It's like, and Nancy's taught me that, it's just so open, and it's never over. There's a few times in the game I'm like, you know what, looks like they got us. And I think I said the same. I think I said it to Nancy actually when we were playing Johnny Moe in Brantford a couple of years ago. Like, he had us down pretty good, and I was like, yes, it's game over. And I think Nancy made a pistol on our last end, and we took 4 to win. And I was like, that just doesn't happen normally in regular curling.
Right.
Mixed doubles is just a different animal that way, different mindset.
Right. No kidding. Well, Tyrel, we're on the needles too, and you are too, not just because of the curling decision, but obviously with a baby on the way.
Yeah, it's life's exciting, and you know what, I'm really grateful so far, for everything that's that I do have, and I'm keeping a positive outlook on it, and I'm trying to keep my emotions just right here. There's things that I can control. Obviously those things keep me up at night, but things I can't control, I'm going to let the decision, and all we're asking for is transparency, really.
Wow. Has there been a lot of transparency?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping when we have all the decisions, we have, it's all laid out and it makes sense. And, for everyone, I think that's what we all would hope for, with this. If you're in any of the player situations, it's just a well thought out process. And it's, but we haven't really heard much, to be honest. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. We'll all wait and see, won't we, Tyrel? Best wishes to you, the wife, and the baby on the way. Exciting times, no doubt, and so grateful to have you on the show tonight.
Thanks, you too. I appreciate your time, Devin, Colleen, and keep looking after those plants. They're looking good there, Devin.
Looking real good, aren't they?
Thank you. Good to see you.
Updates and that curling show sweatshirt.
I have a wardrobe change.
You what?
I'll be right back. I'm doing a wardrobe.
You're going to do a wardrobe change. Okay, that allows me to grab some of my whiteboard time and just steal the whole show. I'm calling it the bumpy road to the Olympics. They begin February 3rd, so time is ticking. As producer Soph said, already Thomas Bach has put out
the map. I'm back.
I haven't even done.
Look at this. Look at this one.
I really like that one. Listen, don't you spill your coffee on that. I love it. I've
saved this one for the last part of the show because I love this one.
Last part of the show, we're not even close to done.
Oh, what's your cat's name? Is that Carol in the back?
That's Bubby. Are you seeing Bubby? Come here. It's Bubby. Carol, she might be here. Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. No, everybody wants to know what the cat's name is. It's
Carol King. Carol King after the singer.
And Bubby is the dog.
Bubby is the dog. She knows you're talking about her. She's the cutest thing. Come here.
Woo! This is
show. She's gained some COVID pounds.
This is a show. Anyway, this is one of the shirts
I love
fans will be able to purchase. I love this.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want me to continue on before we go to Chelsea?
Absolutely.
Not allowed. But maybe they will be. Two-time Canadian mixed world silver 2019. The Tuck spoke really well about the fact that they're a logical choice. Homan and Morris, oodles of experience, beat P&G, I call them, not Procter & Gamble, but Peterman and Gallant at the Qualico mixed. Martin and Griffiths, crazy consistent.
Yes,
and they
they're
lost
always there. They're always there. Yeah.
They lost to P&G in the 2019 Canadian final. Lott and Shadek, how do I pronounce that name?
Sahadic. Kerri Einarson.
They were so darn good at last year's Canadian Championship.
And the one before that. Yeah.
And the one before that. And they lost to the super team of
Myers and Walker. They lost in the Canadian final to Myers and Walker 3 years ago. Yeah.
Einarson and Jacobs, never seen them play together, of course. But Carey is half of the defending champ. And I wouldn't let that interfere with the decision because both Jacobs and Carey are so darn good. And Brad Gushue and Carey had no experience together. They just created magic. Walker and Myers, they've got chemistry, they've got talent. They were the 2018 Canadian champs, and they won the bronze at the Worlds. And the thing about this team, Walker has gotten exponentially better in that time. So much better. She was out of shape. Wiggle and Epping. This is a team, when you look at their points, they got together, they played and learned the game. They have traveled extensively with it.
Right.
And they just kept getting better and better. And Epping and Wiggle are just phenomenal players. So I wouldn't rule them out. Carey and Hodgson, since we're going to Chelsea, I had to put them on number 8. These are the others down there. Sorry to the Tux, I put you down there. Same for the Desjardins. It's so good. Bobby and Brendan, I put them down there too. Yeah. Carey and Hodgson, they looked great in Brantford. They looked so good. They got down and then they just fought back. And as I say, they play great when they've got an axe to grind. And I love that about them. Don't you think? They just kind of like, they just look like they batten down the hatches and go, we are winning this thing. They both have that look. And
backs against the wall, and I mean, hasn't Chelsea Carey done that throughout her entire career?
Well, I think they felt a little overlooked in several cases.
Let's find out. Let's bring Chelsea Carey onto the show, who's getting ready for her first Saskatchewan Scotties, which I'm very pleased about, Chelsea.
Of course you are, yeah.
Wonderful to see you. Where are you tonight in Saskatchewan?
I'm in Assiniboia.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. It's minus a million, but it was minus a million in Calgary, so I can't judge based on that.
You've been watching, you've been listening, you've been hearing, you've been thinking, you've been talking to a lot of people. Where are you at with all of this?
It's crazy. I mean, I think everybody was devastated, obviously, to not have the chance, and especially for Colin and I, and I'm sure for Lurie and Felix, where you weren't in and you had to earn your way in. So it's just been a roller coaster because we were only just in and we were making all these arrangements and flights and hotels and all that stuff. And then to have the rug pulled out from underneath you was a really big crash after that kind of emotional high that we were on after Brantford. But I mean, it's the right call. I don't think they had a choice to run it, unfortunately. Like, had they had more time, had this snuck in a little bit more gradually, they could have set up a bubble and it would have been fine because we saw the bubble work and we know how to do that and everything else. But it just came on so quickly that there was no way that they could make that happen. So canceling it was the right call, but it doesn't make it any less devastating as an athlete to not have a chance at that. Mm-hmm. So we were, I mean, we're pretty upset that the circumstances were what they were, but we also were relieved in the sense that it was stressful thinking about going and how that's all going to work and things. So, I think they made the right decision, but it still sucks, basically, for lack of a better word.
Do we have any idea how widespread the COVID was amongst the teams? I mean, we know the Tucks were one, but we know there had to be a pile of other teams that couldn't play. I mean, you could have held it if there were still 10 teams, right? But
well, I think the problem more than anything, I don't know this is pure speculation on my part, but to me, the problem more than anything is that there was these 2 events that were spreaders. So even people that haven't tested positive yet still could. So now you start the bubble with teams that test negative coming in, but you know, they roomed with a teammate or whatever, and they had a negative test, and then it shows up positive when you get there. And then now it's in there. And once it's in there, you're dead. You can't. So the event in Banff and the event that Wayne was at, both had quite a few positive cases from what I understand. So that is the challenge, is that there was these 2 events that a bunch of the athletes were part of. So how do you, I don't think a negative test going in is necessarily good enough to make everybody feel that it's safe to play. I think that's, for me, that was what seemed like the biggest challenge.
Right.
Do you feel a little like you're in limbo now?
I don't, because I don't think we have a chance. So I don't feel like we're in limbo at all. I think there's less than zero chance we get selected. So for us, it's when the trials was canceled, I was like, okay, well, that's it. I mean, if you picked a different year, like there was lots of years where Colin and I would have been ranked, we're sort of near where Nancy and Tyrel are, top 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever in Canada. But we took a year off, and we took the wrong year off, as it turned out. And it was an injury that Colin was dealing with. And we thought, well, no worries. It's 2 years before the Olympics, so we can come. Like, we'll take this year off so he can get his body right, and then we'll come back and play the qualifying year. But then that was the COVID year, so because of that, we're ranked super low, like lower than we ever have been when we've actually played. But it's just because we had the year off, right. So it just kind of worked out unfortunate for us in that sense. So we're ranked, like where we're ranked and everything. I don't see any way that we get selected. So I don't feel like I'm in limbo, but I feel for Ty, and I feel for, John and Rachel and the teams that I do think are in the conversation, because it would be excruciating to just be waiting for a call. Like, at least let me go do something I can control. Let me go play.
Right.
There's nothing worse than not having control of it. And I saw the interview with John basically to that point. It's the first time that any Canadian curler has been in that situation.
Chelsea, couldn't this all been avoided if the trials were held earlier? Yep.
I do think it could have. And I think for more reasons than that, the trials should be like, that's one thing. Like, this whole COVID thing has brought some attention to that. Because what if it happened for 4-person? Like, if this happened for 4-person, we would have a different rep on the women's side if you were basing it on points, right? Mm-hmm. So what does that do? Or do you not base it on points? So it's the exact same argument that you could make on if it had happened to cancel the 4-person trials. So all of it to me is too close to the Olympics for more reasons than just that. But so say now COVID's put a spotlight on this, that, having it this close leaves you no contingency plan, like you can't reschedule it. But also it doesn't give the team any time to rest and recover and then properly prep. It doesn't allow our teams to be included in any of the Olympic marketing, because they don't know in time, where most of the other sports decide it way sooner. And it's really tough to peak and peak and peak. And we're seeing it you see it at the Scotties and the Briar, and then the team having to go again to Worlds, and you see it at the Olympics, because it's just such a tight turnaround. Mm-hmm. So I think for a number of reasons, it would make sense to do the trials earlier, but avoiding this kind of situation is the first and foremost in this moment, because this is where we're at right now.
Well, Chelsea, we're singing from the same choir book there, because I've been preaching that sermon for the last 4 years, even maybe before that it should be a lot sooner in the spring. And I know it's a crazy busy calendar, but the Olympics have got to be the priority.
Well, they would rearrange the calendar for the trials. Like, everything else will be scheduled around the trials. We all know that. So you can put the trials whenever you want. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think that there's a scheduling issue. I know that's the case for other events. I know it's the case for the slams, for example, trying to schedule around the Briar and the Worlds and the Scotties and all that stuff, but they have to move theirs around. And so I don't think that scheduling would be a problem at all as far as it competing with other events. The spring makes sense to me, because you don't want to do it in the fall where nobody's had time to get into kind of the groove and stuff, right? Like, by the time you get to the spring, you've played a whole bunch of events, you've planned out your whole season to peak for that. Like, to me, that makes perfect sense. It gives you the off season to like process what's happened, to do the proper recovery and reset, to do any kind of extra prep stuff that you need to kind of just wrap your head around the fact that you're going. Like, it's such an enormous thing. And I think that we underappreciate that, or like don't realize that enough, just how big it is and how the mental strain that puts on the team that's going. I mean, you're over the moon excited, I'm sure. I mean, I've never been to the Olympics, but I know it was the case for me with the Scotties. Like, you're over the moon excited because you've accomplished this dream, but you don't ever really even get to process it before you have to go perform again. It's just, It's challenging. Not that, I mean, it's not impossible. We've seen a lot of teams go and win gold because they're good at curling. Like, so congratulations, that's great. But with the world getting better and all this stuff, like, at least let the team come in rested and recovered and prepared and all that stuff. And I don't think that's what's happening.
What should the criteria be?
I mean, I think that if you don't pick the highest ranked points team that's available to you, that is saying that you don't have a lot of faith in your point system. But I think also, like, I agree actually with Wayne. Like, to me, Joss and Brett are a logical choice. I know both teams, and I'm not sure that you necessarily every year, like, I don't know that it needs to open the box to every year that the people in 4-person can also compete in doubles. But in this situation, it just makes so much sense to me. They're the best. They're the number one ranked team. So number one, you're following the points thing. And they're already doing all the things. Like, because of COVID, it just makes so much sense to me that it would be the two of them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't go by points if it's not them. But I think that's sort of says something about, you know, what kind of faith we have. Like, why build the system then? To, like Wayne said, I agree with a lot of what Wayne Tuck said, to be honest. Why build the system and have the system in place if you're not going to use it as the selection criteria? And I get it. It's because you want to factor in experience and stuff, but then it becomes subjective, and that's what we were trying to avoid by having a point system in the first place. So it just seems contradictory to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was your reaction when you heard it was canceled, by the way? How hard? I
was, I cried a little bit, honestly, and I'm not a crier, but it was heartbreaking for me. I didn't like, I had an amazing chance to go to the Olympics as a fifth, but it's not quite the same thing. And so then I didn't think I was going to have a chance in doubles, and then I did. And so then again, the roller coaster got to me, and we found out on Christmas Day, which was, you know, my whole family had the flu, and it was just quite the experience. So I think a lot of things factored into it, but I was fully devastated. Like, I wasn't surprised, but I was definitely devastated personally.
Brutal.
Well, the way you and Colin played in Brantford, I'm telling you, when you got rolling, it was.
I was going to say, you didn't see our first two games, but.
At least sometimes when you're reading line scores all the time, you swear you saw the game.
Wow, they were great. Didn't miss a shot.
Well, and that's historically been what we do. We almost always lose our first game at mixed doubles. It takes us a bit to kind of get back into it. And because we didn't play together for a whole year, and we've only played 2 events together this year, that was only our second event. So it just took us a bit to kind of get back. And once we got through those first 2 games, we did play fairly well. But yeah, the first 2 were real dicey. We were like, okay, maybe we're bad at this. Like, maybe we should just go home.
Well, mixed doubles can make you think that, and all of a sudden you think you're a real hacker the way it goes. But anyhow, we're sorry for all of the curlers who had their hearts broken. I'm sure you weren't the only one that shed it.
No, everybody in the field, I'm sure, felt the same way that I did. We all wanted the chance to go and play and compete, and even the team that gets picked, it just doesn't feel the same, because you don't, like it's anticlimactic even for the team that gets to go. Like, you get to be an Olympian, yay, but like the asterisk sort of feeling is probably, I would think if it was me, I would feel that way. I would, don't get me wrong. Like, if they call me tomorrow and tell me I'm the Olympic team, I will be over the moon.
Right.
Like,
no asterisks for you.
It does have that, so like nobody wants it that way. You want to earn it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Chelsea, wonderful of you to join us.
Somebody pointed out that you're in our curling show Hall of Fame. You might have.
That's what producer so upset to me when she emailed me. I didn't see that, but I do feel like I've been on a lot, but I appreciate you guys having me all the time.
Well, it's sort of like now, like Sarah SNL. Is it 5 times? Because then she definitely deserves a jacket.
I think it's 5 times. I'm sure we'll have some sort of apparel for you, Chelsea.
I would love to have some apparel. That's awesome. That's the only Hall of Fame I'm probably getting into, so I'll take it.
It's a pretty solid Hall. You deserve to be in a Hall of Fame. Good to see you.
Oh,
good luck in Saskatchewan. Aren't you lucky you're one of the provinces that's going to have a provincial playdown?
Right.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it all goes off. I mean, it could be canceled any. Yeah, exactly. It could be canceled any day now. But so far, it seems good. We had practice today, and the ice is spectacular. So it should be a good week, as long as no one gets sick. Hopefully.
Right. Yeah.
Well, good luck. Stay safe. Play well, and always grateful to have you on the show, Chelsea.
Much appreciated. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Great to see you.
Good luck. So Saskatchewan, also Alberta's playdowns are going on, and British Columbia, and Northwest Territories, Kerri Galusha.
Northwest Territories canceled today.
I did not see that.
Canceled today, and I can tell you that Kerri Galusha has been selected as the team to go. So
I'm just going to add Northwest Territory canceled on my canceled board that I've got going on here.
Yeah, it's starting to look a lot like last year, where the majority of the field will be handpicked should the Scotties go forward. And Colleen, I can tell you that I've been hearing from a number of sources that are telling me that Curling Canada is looking at doing a very similar bubble-like scenario to what we saw in Calgary in Thunder Bay. And at this point, they're waiting for sign-off from provincial health officials and authorities. But the plan right now is to go forward with a bubble at the Gardens in Thunder Bay. What a wonderful curling community that is.
It is. Sad
Yeah.
though in Thunder Bay, especially with Krista McCarville as
Right.
sort of a local favorite, that there would be no fans. I almost think if we just delayed the Scotties, I know this won't be a popular idea, but they're already putting it up against the Olympic Games. So just move it to the last week of the Olympic Games.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
give it some time for Omicron to settle down a little bit, because as we've been hearing with the, you know, highly transmissible disease, that even a bubble might not be bulletproof.
Right. You keep talking. We keep talking about the Olympics. We're going to be headed there very soon. In fact, Colleen, you and I are on a flight in 3 weeks from today, heading to Beijing. We will be on the ground with that curling show.
Exciting.
And of course, Mike Harris is going to be calling yet another Olympics on CBC Sports, and he joins us now. Mike, Happy New Year. Wonderful to see you.
Happy New Year to both of you. Yeah, it's great to be here again. And you make me sound old when you say another Olympics, but it's been a few. It's been 5 now. So
are you counting the one you played in as well?
No, that's 6. That would be 6. So
showing
yeah,
off now.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I was in Rio. There's 7. So yeah, there's quite a few. So, but yeah, I was. It's a privilege though, as you know. Like again, bringing the games to Canada is something I don't take. You know, I take the responsibility very seriously, and I'm kind of honored to be that voice. So I'm happy to be back again for another one.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Lovely. What do you make of the fact that we still don't know who the mixed doubles rep is going to be?
Yeah, it's what's taken so long, right? I mean, this is not. I know I was listening to Wayne and Tyrel and then Chelsea and then Kim, of course, and they all make great points. So what's the holdup? There's no need for this to have been going on for so long. So you know, bringing on the podium in with Ann Merklinger, who we all know runs that, and you've got the COC on board. But what do they know about curling? I mean, Ann knows some, but what does COC know about curling? Why are they even in the conversation? We appoint the team and we send them off. So COC doesn't need to be there for that conversation. On the podium, of course, has there's a vested interest with Curling Canada and them. I get that, but this should have been done already, in my opinion.
What should they be looking at?
Yeah.
Well, there's again going through all the scenarios. The point system, you know, Tyrel and the Tucks are talking a lot about the points, but I can tell you for a fact that a lot of the top teams, including Morrison Holman and Peterman Gallant and Brent Lang and Jennifer Jones, they play enough events to make sure they know they're going to be in the trials or in the Canadian Championships. They don't play in everything. So there's that, right? So there's that challenge where and it goes back to what Kim was saying, that you've had 8 years, you know, if you really want to have this all down in paper where points are important, then making it very, very clear that the teams that have the most points going into the Olympic trials, should something happen, that's how we're going to decide it. And I can tell you that all of the teams will be much more invested in mixed doubles. Whether they play both or not isn't that big of a deal. But if you're going to do both, you've got there's a lot of time commitment and hard on your body, and it's a different game. So there's that. But I think to Kim's point is that you've had 8 years to kind of put stuff in place, and really there's not enough clarity. You know, you always hear rumors about how some teams are getting in and some teams aren't getting in, and I don't have a source for any of this stuff, but I do know that there has been athletes approached by people at Curling Canada saying, if you sign up for the Olympic trials, you're going to get in. And we're not even playing Olympic trials. Well, you're not hearing what I'm saying. If you sign up, this is obviously one of the very high level athletes at one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the world, being told that they should enter. This is not something that should be happening. This is, you know, there's a lot of there's a lack of clarity, right? When I worked for Scotland and when I worked in China, we never really had a real sense that what we were doing as coaches and athletes was enough, because at the end of the day, the control always stayed with the association, right? And I think what the curlers want is that they want to know, in advance. Here's the rules. Here's what's going to happen. As long as that can happen, then I don't think anyone will have any complaints about any of the processes, right? So this is where, after 8 years, to Kim Tuck's point, I mean, if you know the point system was structured as such, where teams who are dedicating themselves to the sport, I shouldn't call it a different sport, but it is. It's a different game. But people who are dedicating themselves to the two-person game get rewarded and really get the same type of support that the four-person teams are getting at the top level. And I think that's really important.
Mike, are you surprised? I mean, repeatedly we've heard tonight from every curler that they have not heard a single word from Curling Canada, and yet they're supposed to be on the first charter flight in 3 weeks from right now. There are protocols, there are restrictions, there's a concern of testing. There's all this stuff.
It's embarrassing that they haven't nominated the team already. I can't believe it's taken this long.
Right.
The event was supposed to be over on the 3rd or the 4th, whatever Sunday was, and they had a whole week knowing that people are chomping at the bit to get going. And to your point, Devin, you've got to be on a plane in 3 weeks. This isn't something you can just throw together a team, and make sure that you need to make sure that they're ready. And waiting this long, like I said, there's 3 or 4 teams that are really on edge. They don't know whether they're going to be the team or not. So, again, Homan and Morris. Interesting, though, John Morris can be going to the Olympics anyway with Australia. He was coaching the Australian team, so he might be going anyway, right? And then you've got Tyrel and Nancy, again, third-ranked team behind Lang and Jones and Peterman Gallant. And for me, Peterman Gallant are the team. It would take. There's not one single athlete in the who are going to do the trials that wouldn't say they get the decision, especially this year. This is a one-time only. Make it very clear. Yes, you're not supposed to be playing both disciplines in Canada, but there's precedent been set that it doesn't actually hurt your chances.
Right.
Matt Hamilton won the gold medal playing with John Schuster. He played both.
Right.
There's already precedent. Oscar Ericsson's going to be playing both. We've got there's I think there's 4 or 5 athletes that are going to be in both disciplines.
Bruce Mowat. Yeah.
Bruce Mowat and Jen Dodds. There you go. You got your gold medal men's favorite and your gold medal mixed doubles favorite. They're playing.
Well,
so there's no reason. And everyone, what if you get hurt? It's like, listen, it's not NFL here. These guys Brett and Jocelyn are maybe 2 of the fittest curlers we have in Canada, one on the men's, one on the women's side. And they're super prepared. And by the way, you've got Mark Kennedy and Lisa Weigel there as well, who can, I was speaking with Joe Polo about this, who was the 5th for Schuster in 2018, and had Matt Hamilton made through into the playoffs and into the medal round in the mixed doubles, Joe was going to play a couple of games at the start of the week to give Matt a chance to rest as well, to rest and recover. So again, there's plans that could be put into place if Peterman Gallant are the ones who get selected. But they need to do something. They need to pick somebody sooner than later. So
yeah. What about Weigel and Kennedy though? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, great. My challenge with them is they've never played together. Right. So I would rather see them. I'd let Brett and Jocelyn play before I let them play.
Or you could just spin the wheel. Okay.
Yeah. The other one, and we haven't talked about this. The Heidek and Lauder are actually my second choice behind. That's an easy one to justify because they were runners up to Brad Gushu and Kerri Einarson at the last mixed doubles Canadian Championship just held in April. So there's a team that's actually quite good, very exciting. They've won a World Cup event. They have traveled internationally with Canada on their jacket. It's different at the Olympics, but you can't really prepare anyone to go to the Olympics for the first time. That's really difficult to do. And
to that point, Mike and Colleen, what a message it would send to the mixed doubles evolution in Canada to select a team like Nancy and Ty or Kadriana and Colton. I mean, what a message that would send.
John Morris and Rachel Homan is going to be the most difficult pick for Curling Canada to make from PR perspective, right? That's the toughest call for them to make You know, the easier ones. All three of those other teams are easier to pick. You know, Peterman Gallant, Sahaidik and Lot, and Tyrel and Nancy are the three ones that they can justify. There's an argument for each of those three teams, you know, logically.
Yeah.
You know, Holman Morris is these guys have a great record in the past, and we think they're better than the other three options. But that's going to cause controversy because it's an opinion. It's not based on any of the numbers, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, but
that's the challenge you've got.
it might be more than opinion as well.
No, but it is an opinion. I know what you're saying. They've got Olympic experience, great, but nowhere in any document does that even come into part of the equation in Curling Canada's words, right? And nor should it, in my opinion. But yeah, people think they're the best team. That like someone's going to say that, but you know, there's three other streams here where, you know, Peterman Gallant ranked well ahead of them. Again, Tyrel and Nancy ranked ahead of them, but they play a lot more than Rachel and John do. And then you've got Sahaidik and Lot who lost the finals last year, and one other year as well, as you mentioned, Devin, to Myers and Walker.
2018 in Leduc.
So you know, I think I actually don't care who. I mean, I'm sounding like I care. I actually don't care who goes. I really want them to pick somebody, right? Because I think all 4 or 5 of those options are great stories. Because that's all I really care about too. Because I want to talk to whoever gets picked and find out some stuff before I start broadcasting in 3 weeks, whenever we're starting this crazy thing.
Well, the other thing is that all of these teams, like John is playing in the Alberta Provincials, Rachel's waiting to go to the Scotties, Kerri, Scotties or Olympics.
Right.
It doesn't seem fair that they don't know.
Right. It's distracting to their 4-person teams as well, right? I mean, this is very difficult. So, and I think, like I said, there's no need for this to have taken so long.
And I can tell you that from everything that I'm hearing in the background, we shouldn't expect an announcement this week.
Which again, ridiculous, right? Like, give me a break. What are you waiting for? Yeah. Is somebody just nervous about making a call? Is that the problem? Like, the longer you wait, the worse it is for whoever you're selecting. Yeah. Look at it that way. So if anyone from Curling Canada is watching, rip off the Band-Aid and make a pick. It's not that hard. Just do it.
This is why we have you on the show, Mike.
Right. Well, you know, I'm not saying anything that isn't logical. I don't think I'm saying anything that's not logical. This shouldn't be hard. Like,
sure.
You know,
and you're saying what everybody is saying too. Like, it should. Right. This.
And the longer you wait, like I said, like I'm just watching a little comment, or Wayne Tuck saying, you know, if you've got 3 teams that are in provincials right now, and they test positive for COVID in the next 3 days, maybe your pick is out the window too, right? Exactly. So because that window's going to be very tight for whomever's going across as well. So anyway, just rip off the Band-Aid and make a pick. Just do it.
By the way, how's the bar building?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Anyone following me on Twitter? It's going pretty well. I'm not a carpenter, I will say, but my bench you sat on my bench, Devin. It's pretty good. My bench is pretty good upstairs that I built last year during the Briar, during our lockdown, and then I'm building this bar, and it's going okay actually. Like I think I'll have, if anyone follow me on at my Terrace Curls, it's right there on the thing, and I do 2 or 3 updates per day, and I did put a deadline. I'll have a beer on the bar on January 10th. Yeah. I'm hoping to be done before then. So
don't procrastinate. Like the decision.
Listen, I'm working. I've got epoxy in places you don't need to see, Colleen, and I can slivers. It's a boo-boo right there. I got a sliver there, and I woke up this morning. I had to pop it, and anyway. I don't know if people work for a living. It sounds terrible.
Just so everybody knows, the 3 of us will be likely having daily conversations throughout the entirety of the Olympics, and you can expect a lot of this.
Yeah, I don't tend to hold back, so that's okay, and even more so with you two, so which is fun.
And we appreciate it.
Maybe we can get Rainey on. You can tell us. You can tell that great story. We'll see if we can coax them in during in February.
Yes, of course. Bruce Rainey will be calling yet another Olympics, and we will. The band.
And we have a special big surprise announcement next week. Well, not always big surprise, but we kind of gave a little foreshadowing for our mixed doubles trials crew. So anyone who is paying attention can probably do the math for our crew for Beijing. So it's going to be fun.
Yep, going to be fun. Awesome to see you, Mike. Good luck with the bar.
Great to see you both.
Nice to see you. Take care of that boo-boo.
Yes.
Yeah, rip off the Band-Aid. I think it just sums up and even echoes what a lot of the curlers were saying. It's time to know, really, and there's no reason to keep delaying. It's the countdown's on February 3rd for that first game for Team Canada at mixed doubles in Beijing
against Bruce Mowat and Jen Dodds from Great Britain. That's welcome to the Olympics. That's how it starts.
Exciting. Well, nice to have done another show.
Cheers.
I have that curling show. Look at this. We have our own mugs. So exciting.
I'm really excited about this shirt.
So am I. Hope I get one.
Wow. Mike wants one. You can listen. We're going to put these up. We'll give everyone the info to purchase them online. Mike, I'm sure we can get you one. Colleen, I think we should also end it by saying thank you to all the curlers. I mean, like the perspective provided tonight
is great.
Can you imagine being in the situation they're in and come on this show knowing how many people are watching and having the poise and grace that they all had? I mean, I find it remarkable.
Yeah, gracious, because they would have been crushed to know that it was going to be decided this way and not on the ice. No choice about it, but that would be devastating to know. And we appreciate everybody's honesty and reflection and opinions. So thank you.
We will have more to come, including when we get an announcement. We will be here with all of that reaction.
Back here in our bubbles.
And then from our bubbles to Beijing. I can't wait to see you again, Col.
In Beijing. Well, stay COVID free. That's what I say.
Put on the hazmat
suit. Yeah, no kidding. All right.
Thank you to Soph. Thank you to Soph. Producer Soph.
Thanks, Producer Soph. I think we went over time again.
A little bit, quite a lot. And to the fans, happy 2022. We've got a lot ahead. Buckle up.